I'm trying to teach you about the blockchain, man.
Dude,
can you please let me
they're all
teach you?
shit coins. It doesn't matter.
It matters because people are losing money on them. Okay, I'm trying to save people. Just learn. I'm telling you, this only takes a minute.
Stop being Jesus Christ, for fuck's sake.
He was skinny. I'm more like a Santa. So we've had Bitcoin with 2 inflation bucks.
Good one.
Thank you.
Hey,
we're live. Share
Indeed.
this link out, man. That's what I'm doing right now, trying to get it shared out to everybody.
I just live shared it to Twitter. Should be on my feed.
I sent it out too.
Here.
I'm gonna go drop it in some of the chats. See who's out there. See who wants to join us and come on in. I got a question.
Yeah, we got 4 watching already.
Well, you know what? That's 4 more than we had before. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'll take it.
All right, I got 1 more to drop. That'll be it. Everybody else, you just have to find their way through Maddie's subscriptions. All right, brother. Oh, man, it's a business day today.
How's your
Jackets. Good, man. Good. Lots of stuff going on.
I like seeing you in a suit again. I haven't seen you in a suit since the PLS 369 conference.
Yeah, you know where you can go with that. there's some chats out there that if you say my name in the chat, they loaded up the frickin' the pods to show my picture. The fuckers.
The crispy man memes. Those were kind of iconic, actually. I think.
I know it's kind of it's kind of funny, you know. I thought about putting up NFTs that are only purchasable with Fire. You know, they'd have to.
Yeah, why not?
You know, you want the NFT, you gotta trade your Fire. I got lots
of
crypto
stuff. Feel of those NFT or the memes, like they weren't negative, right? Like it was like you were used as a symbol of perseverance. Was the vast majority of the memes that I saw of that those shots.
Yeah, I know. I didn't take it that way. Just that nobody knows what I was thinking inside, but you know, I got it. But hey, you know, I feel for everybody. Feel for myself. You know, boy, this has been a long time coming. You know, we're still not out of this one yet. Yeah, I got a question for you.
Sure.
You familiar with a product called Creatine?
I am. I have some creatine on hand right now.
Oh, dude. So yeah, I've never used creatine before, and I was having trouble with the recovery on workouts. Right, meaning like depending on what was going on with my workouts, really good workouts. But then I come back, you know, for my next cycle, and I'd be like, man, I just can't get there. You know, it wasn't that they were bad. It was just like I couldn't maintain the increases and found myself backsliding a little bit. So somebody had recommended creatine as part of the recovery process.
It's pretty simple. Like it's one of the most tested like supplements in the world, probably the most tested. It does 2 things. The main thing is it puts extra water in your muscles, right? To make you a little bit might make them look slightly more impressive, but mostly that helps with recovery, right? And you can bloat yourself if you take too much. Don't do that. But like it helps with the recovery because there's that water already in the muscles, and it helps you recover and go again tomorrow faster. The other thing it does, because your body actually does produce creatine, right? And its purpose is to give you basically like a 7-second burst of power that you can more or less engage once per day. That means like 2 extra reps, right? So you might get 2 extra reps if you're taking creatine. Doing something like jujitsu, like I am, like in a match, it might give me like literally 5 seconds where I go hard that I wouldn't have had otherwise, right? So it's like it's pretty minimal, and the risks are very low compared to most other supplements. But like, yeah, if you have creatine and you have protein, like, you know, most other things are kind of bullshit or could be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm not looking to overdo it or anything. I'm just familiar with sometimes it's necessary to change up what you're doing to actually accomplish things. Like you'll understand this better than I have. Maybe some people I know some people that are watching this that would have done this. But in my life, there's only been a handful of times that I hit the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like some people are like, what are you talking about? Hit the wall. So my description of hit the wall is like I was training for these long distance bike rides over a few years.
Yeah.
And had never really experienced this where, I'm riding a bike and then I just ran out of power and fell over. Right.
Okay. You really hit the wall.
That was like hitting the wall. Right.
Yeah.
And so I hit the wall. And then now in that sport or effort or hobby, right, road biking, right? So what I was doing is I was training for these 200-mile rides, right, over 2 days. And I accomplished a couple. It was good. It was, it took a long time, man. It's like 2 days of riding. My ass hurt. There's nothing to fix that. But we're doing that road biking. And in that scenario, right, I had to use, they have these gel tabs. You probably heard of them before, maybe seen them. They're basically sugar tabs. They're gel tabs. And,
what do they do? Oh, like the ones, just the calorie ones?
Yeah. Just to keep you going, because this way you always have fuel, And now in competitive sports, I don't know what the rules are. I'm pretty sure they don't do that. But, for like stuff that's for raising money for charity and whatnot, what's the big, no one's going to stop you from doing that. But anyways,
sure.
Just the point. The point is I think there are times where, that's necessary, Yeah, far-right aliens.
Well,
I see a lot of people apparently know this topic. Yeah. Go ahead.
Bone broth, someone's recommending.
Yeah, far-right alien. I see Sandy. Sandy knows all about creatine. Other people know about creatine too. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't not recommend it.
Right. Yeah, that omega 369 is still important too. I'm
Agreed.
Sure nothing like fish oil.
I should get that back on that too. That's good for your noggin,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Maddie talks about that a lot as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, kind of on this topic, here's a new topic to open up. Just brainstorming, maybe the people in the chat. Oh, hey, yeah, just for everybody who knows, we have no idea where Maddie is, right? So he may be jumping in here in a little bit. We sent him over the link. We just decided to keep, as said, let's keep it going. We don't want to lose.
Show must go on.
I'm going to keep this going. So here we are. Yeah. So along these lines, here's a brainstorm that's always been close to Maddie's heart. And now I was just like re-examining and revisiting this. Is there some new ideas we can come up with on how people in the real world could interact with blockchain and receive, let's just call it credit, not payments, but credit on the blockchain for what they do? There's everybody's got everybody has these step challenges, right?
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody. In corporate America, a lot of companies do these step challenges by company. Usually
there's crypto for those step challenges. That's been a thing already.
Yeah, is there? So tell me about that. What do you know about that?
I know there was a PulseChain sacrifice that got rugged.
That's not good. Whoa.
But it was actually by an existing company on Ethereum that had done the same thing. So it was like the same concept as what you see with apps. Like there's apps with step challenges, like it's on your iPhone. I think these crypto ones had like apps attached to them where you do your steps and you'd get crypto, right? So, and then you'd have to download the app on your iPhone or whatever. So you actually had a device to measure that. So it is totally a thing. I haven't looked at it for a long time, but it was done for bike riding, for walking, for running. Like they did engage with that with crypto in a semi-decentralized way at the very least.
Yeah. Well, Maddie talks about a lot about habits. You know how you make a promise, or you make a promise to yourself, or and you actually have to fulfill the promise. A lot of times you get hung up on that. Well, you can't really prove it's the person, blah blah blah. But listen, I don't know, maybe there's something to simply the logging of the activity is is what creates the reward, you know. Because listen, we ain't at the point. I don't know that I want it to be at the point where, you know, my phone's connected to know what I'm doing, so that it connects me to the blockchain, so that I get a payment. I guess I could with like a an isolated wallet that's not connected to anything else. Maybe that would be okay.
Yeah,
But
like you're not. I suspect you're not doing a lot of crypto on your phone right now because you're not that guy. So if you made an account just for a crypto step thing where you could get your 10,000 steps in and make $3 or whatever they're paying, like it's probably low risk.
That's a cool name, Crypto Steps. Crypto Stepping.
Yeah.
10,000 steps, 10,000 miles. Who could do it?
There's a space on the PulseChain if you want to launch one, because they never showed up.
Yeah. Well, we could do that. We could do it. What else you got going on this week?
Well, this is my third stream of the day. I was on with RH Max, and then with my buddy Triplet Dad, and then I did a little.
Oh shit, man! You know what? I was supposed to be on that stream today.
The RH Max one or the Triplet Dad?
The Crypto Dad. Did you guys miss me? No. So okay, so that's good. I forgot. So he must have forgot too.
I guess we replaced you with Saint Wolf because
yeah. Oh well, yeah. Well, you know, he's good looking.
But you're always welcome to jump on.
He's a good looking guy.
That's that's an easy stream. It's just me and Triplet Dad, and then sometimes we have a guest. So if you ever want to be the guest, you can be the guy. Every Tuesday.
Sandy's saying, make an app. We'll call it. Maybe we'll call it Fast and Crispy.
Hey, I like
we
it.
could use that. Yeah, we could do that.
It sounds kind of hard to tell you the truth. Like, not that, like, obviously it could be done, but like, I would need to learn things.
Nah, I don't think it's that hard at all, man. Well, at least I'm thinking of the blockchain. Listen, the way I would run something like that, yeah, there's a question about real value and all that tokens, but I just simply say, hey, here's a place you can go right on the blockchain. You can do it right off the Explorer. Interact with the contract, drop your login, push the button, pay your pulse. It's logged. You get whatever comes out of that. Now that's not verification, so there's a lot of trust involved with that. Which means you couldn't do like significant payouts that way because the bots would just run it to hell.
Totally, yeah. Somebody come up with a bot to do it, but like you'd have to have some other motivation. Like you need to have community, right? Where people are like pushing each other on. Who's the big winner today? Like we have a weekly meeting and sing a song. Like it would require some.
A song and dance.
Indeed. Some youth and enthusiasm, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, let's think about that. If anybody has ideas, put them in chat. Maybe we'll look at something like that. Yeah. Well, this last week, what was of course, Richard also came out. It's kind of funny because I mentioned I've been going to the gym. So I've been going to the gym last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Or so. And so it was funny to see him come out with hey, here's the Richard Hart workout challenge, right? That was pretty funny. And that was good. Cool. Yeah, good for him. I think it's another cool thing, if people would like to partake in that, to do it. It's kind of like not crypto centric kind of community building, right?
Yep. Agreed. And like health is an important part of the community. Like he doesn't want a bunch of toothless weirdos in their mother's basements representing the community, right? Like he wants us to show up. He wants us to live a long time. He's big on longevity, and he's obviously trying to motivate himself by, telling people what he's doing and suggesting they can do the same. He's trying to create community around this to keep himself going, I suspect.
Yeah, and it's something he's interested in. Obviously, he's talked about that a lot in the past. A lot of people probably don't even realize. Because everybody came in at different times. Like Richard, back in the day, it wasn't quite. These aren't quite the titles. We can go look them up, but there were friendship streams, like the whole sci-fi and the other stuff that's out there. But how do you make friends and influence people? How do you? Hey, what's the best keyboard to use? Man, he'd go over the keyboard reviews. That was a passion for him, apparently, right?
Brizology still talks about their keyboard streams.
Yeah, dude, man.
He's very excited about those keyboards.
But they're very not crypto, right? And
So
so there were a lot of these different topics that were very, leading by example, but it still built community, you know, without the crypto piece to it.
I just got a new keyboard. I'm quite pleased with it. It's
I'd show
wireless.
you mine, but
Yeah,
is it
no
wireless?
wires, and it has a built-in like battery that you charge with like USB-C or whatever. That seems to last a long time. Like I've had it for like 2 weeks and I haven't charged it since I got it. So then it comes with a matching mouse, which is great because that means that they both toggle to my computer with only one of the USB slots versus having to have one for each. So yeah, I've enjoyed it so far.
I'm running a Logitech, wireless, but it's old, probably 5 years old now.
Yeah, well,
But
then you got your money's worth.
hey, it does what it's supposed to do. Yeah, I tend to be a cheap bastard when it comes to things. It's stupid. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't go get a new keyboard if I wanted to. But I'm
Yeah,
wearing
like
shoes.
$40.
I'm wearing shoes that I got for $5 at a closeout.
Score.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I got to keep that money on the hex, man. Got to keep it in. So
Yeah, and
got to
that's not
reuse.
financial advice, but now it's kind of the time to like maybe don't go for dinner and buy some crypto. Could pay dividends
Yeah, baby.
if you do it right.
Good.
Like don't stop eating. I'm not saying don't eat, but like don't eat.
Well, some of us could use a few missed meals. Would be okay.
You still got to eat. Everybody's got to eat.
Yeah, in 5 days. 5 days. Let's see what else going on. Well, you know what I did this week, which I thought was a really good stream. If anybody gets a chance, go over to my my YouTube at HexFire.io. I did an update on a staking ladder for Quattro Cinco, what that looks like, and just kind of like normalizing. Okay, so what are we looking at now for a ladder? And if you do a ladder, and what are the expected ROIs based on what we know today? And so everybody's going to do whatever they're going to do, but in the example that I use, because there's lots of ways to set up a ladder, I did 15 stakes, starting one for a year all the way to 14, and then it did a Quattro Cinco for the end. And the APY ranges from 1.65% for the 1 year to about 5.11% for the 15 year. And meaning, depending how you set up that ladder, you can pretty much get a average 4% across your entire ladder. And then conceptually, what you would do is you'd say, okay, the first year is done. Take your principal, send it out Quattro Cinco. Second year is done. You scrape it, keep the rest of it liquid, right? Whatever you're going to do with it, send it out Quattro Cinco. So the product market fit for HEX. And what we know about that is that if you can get an average of 5%, that would be the lowest. 4 or 5% would be the lowest that you'd probably ever see in that ladder, based on the conditions that have been set up. And the reason I say that is because the T-share rate goes up, and there's always going to be fewer T-shares. And so that let's just say 4%, you're able to get 4%. And there's a nice connection with that. If you got that 4%, it's just going to creep up over time. Now, this is in HEX terms, by the way. And so it would creep up in time, over time, as people exit the system and you continue to stake. But what was really cool about it is, like I said, it can only go up. So really, there's a possible scenario where there's so much adoption of HEX staking, which is not happening today, right? But or mining, that suddenly there's a lot more T-shares, but that's unlikely, right?
Yeah, but if that happened and there was that, I suspect that OA would likely cease their stakes.
Well, there's really nobody with enough HEX to do that.
It'd be pretty hard to gather that much.
I mean,
if that happens, we're golden, because it would take a lot to buy up enough HEX to make that happen.
It's not even available in the market.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, so they drive the price crazy. Now, here's the thing: what are treasuries paying? Something around 4%.
Yep.
What's the common thumb rule for minimal withdrawals? Say something like 3-4%. There's arguments about that in TradFi. Like in TradFi, one of the things you talk about is, what's my minimum withdrawal rate or the optimal withdrawal rate to maintain the value of my accounts while still being able to draw every year. And 4% withdrawal rate is kind of like a known number. Used to be 3. Now people argue that it's really 4 because you don't need to worry about that much volatility. But it doesn't really matter about those details other than the 4, because a lot of times when I do my worksheets and whatnot, right, it's all about the 25x. So if you're talking to somebody, you say, well, I'm trying to save for retirement. So I say, okay, well, what are you going to need for expenses? Well, I need $50,000 a year. Well, multiply 50,000 by 25. That's how much capital you need to have invested to maintain this forever withdrawal rate, right? But what's 50,000 times 25? That's a lot.
It's $1 million.
Yeah, it's over $1 million, right? So 50,000 times 25. This is what we call the efforts. It's 1.2 million. So congratulations to those people out there that have that, right? But for the normal person, you're sitting down having a conversation, they probably can't pay their bills already.
50,000 a year isn't that much either.
Yeah, and that's not that much either. But even with that low number, you're like, yeah, you need to figure out how to save $1.2 million. Like, they look at you and they go, and so what am I giving up? F it. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll see you next time, buddy. I don't need to have this conversation. Well, because it takes years to do it. It takes so long and a lot of hard work, because you got to do if you're doing extra hours, you're doing side gigs, you're delaying gratification. Where have I heard that before? You have to do it continuously for 4 or 5, 10 years, depending on how far you're trying to go. Of course, it also is a clarifying approach, right, to like what you should be doing for you based on your own plans, right? And nobody telling you what to do. But anyways, all that coming together, I find it pretty curious that 4%. Well, hey, you know what? I see a bridge here from TradFi into HEX. The same thing with Treasuries.
It'd be funny if it brought more people because it was a lower number.
Well, I think we should start telling people that and talk to them about that. Because listen, I don't think it's going down, and I think that the rate. I don't think it's going to go down, and I think that there's much more. It's much more plausible that HEX will be at a higher price in the future, like forever in the future. And I know we say that a lot about things, but we are coming out of a weird 2020 situation, first cycle, the sacrifices, we had the fork, which separated out the value. So going forward from here, I think I'm willing to believe that it's likely that HEX won't be back down to these prices again. It could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it won't be in my own head. Like, I'm willing to take that gamble, that asymmetric gamble, that's the case. That's my thinking. But here's the other thing, dude. Okay, so it's competitive with CDs. It's competitive with treasuries. But what does it have that they don't? Exposure to price appreciation.
Totally.
And so these really crazy, these numbers I'm talking about, and I'm like, most people be like, you mean if I lock up $800 today, I'm going to earn in 15 years $600? They're like, yeah. Now in TradFi, that's actually a pretty good deal. They'd be like, yeah, that's good, man. 15 years to get that money, that's good. That's good.
It was a guaranteed rate. A lot of people would take it, I suspect.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why it's a reasonable thing to talk about. But you add the price appreciation in. I did the scenario and looking at that same stake, so the 15-year came up with you put 100,000 HEX in, which is worth about $800, that over the 15.2 years, you'd earn $622 worth of HEX, assuming HEX never changed price. Right? Never change price. What do you think? One of the scenarios I did is I matched up the 50 cents. What do you think the value is at 50 cents?
In that scenario, in over which timeline?
The net over the 15 years. What do you think it is? At 50 cents. You don't have to. We don't have to delay it, but
It's going to be $250.
No.
No.
80. You're being funny. 88 grand, man.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just looking at those numbers I put up there. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but the stake, the $800 stake, would be worth about 88 grand in total when it came out. How about that?
Oh, $800 stake. I'm sorry, I thought you said 50 cents.
No, 800.
That's why I came up with with that number. I wasn't.
But can you imagine now? Like, here's the thing. Right? This is crypto, so it might not happen this cycle. I mean, there's a chance that we don't see 50 cents this cycle, but I doubt that, like, severely. Like that's like my 2% chance that might happen. I just realized that I can't control what the hell is going to happen in crypto and what all these cats are going to do.
True.
So to be super positive, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I'm like 98% sure, we're going past all-time highs on HEX. And then the question is, how high does it go? But an $800 stake, for 15 years, and where we come out later at 50 cents in 15 years, to be 88 grand, that's a hell of a deal. Now the argument, of course, is, well, why would you lock it up? Because you can't get to it, right? Well, that's why you have a ladder. That's why people keep liquid. I kind of changed up my thinking to being more like, I already had kind of like the plan that I needed to have liquid every year and then what it would be. I haven't quite enacted that plan, right? Because we're finally into a cycle and hadn't planned on things going so fast the first cycle. But yeah, I'm like normally thinking like 20-25% now is to stay liquid with. So.
I like the perpetual tokens for that, like the Maximus DAO tokens. Like that's actually one of my main HEX holdings is Maximus DAO tokens. So one of my main HEX staking options I use is those. Obviously, HSIs and Actuator are cool too, right? I like those add-ons, but like you want a 15-year stake and you want part of it to be liquid. Obviously, there's some good things about your wallet, your keys, all this stuff. But like if you want a liquid 15-year stake, Maxi token does that for you.
Yeah. Well, I don't have my HEX Maxi hat on, so we're talking about different strategies that exist out there for sure. And so yeah, I like the Maximus token for that purpose, as well as the Decimus, and both of them been running at a pretty good discount. But what's problematic there is size. You can't get in with size. Now perhaps somebody would come in. So maybe perhaps somebody would come in with size and set up LP, but right now it's not like you can go get $10,000, $20,000, right? Without screwing up the whole system. You got HEX, I got whiskey, cigars in my name. How about that?
Whiskey and cigars. Yeah, I've heard of these cigars. Your cigar stream's starting to be famous. Congrats on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I bought little baby cigars this week.
You did, eh?
I don't know what they're called. I don't think they're called cigarellas or cigarellas or whatever, but maybe they are. But they look like little miniature cigars, like little bitty, tiny, like little Maduros.
And well, are they still a cigar?
Yeah, it looks just like the mamas and the dados, just little babies. It's cool. It's like the two cigars got together and they made a little baby one.
Oh, baby cigars. Okay, well, that's good. You can give them to kids then, right?
Yeah. No. Wait. We're not doing that. But maybe to people that don't want to turn green,
Well, those big cigars, I tried to smoke one with Triplet Dad in Panama, and like it was a lot, for somebody who doesn't smoke them. So I would do the little ones.
Yeah, I've been the perpetrator of that on a few people, not purposely, but watching them actually turn green.
Part of it is and I do know, but other people might not. Like, so you're not inhaling in the same way that people with cigarettes would, right? So there's a
you definitely do.
If you try to inhale an entire cigar, that could definitely make you ill.
Yeah. Yeah, well, RG3 blows the smoke through his nose, and
Oh,
that's kind of
interesting.
interesting. That's kind of interesting, but that's still not breathing it. You
No,
know?
yeah, it's
You're
not the
kind of
same.
like
You're
you're
not
like
consuming it.
you're kind of channeling it down and through. Yeah. Hey, the other thing we were talking about this, right, was the the peripherals and stuff. Love that. Love those. The other thing you can go after, which is one that I'm working on, and again ties this whole treasury deal. Guys, if you're in TradFi and you have an opportunity to look at it, go look at the Actuator.finance stuff.
Yep.
And man, I think I think people are sleeping on that. I mean, it's immutable code. It's built on Hex, works with HSIs, allows you to take value out of HSIs, and also to get this future Hex at these extreme discounts right now. And it's like I'm actually going to do a stream, kind of follow-up stream, to what does it look like when if I take my Hex and I go participate my liquid Hex, right? I mean, again, I have staking covered, right? I got my ladder, but if I have my liquid Hex and I want to be flexible with it, can I earn on it? And I could take that. I could take that Hex, lock in a long-term APY right at the beginning by going into HTTs. I can LP my HTTs with Hex and earn 1-2% right now. Maybe it'll be much higher later, but earn 1-2% right in the position.
It's more than 1 or
Compound.
2%, isn't it?
Well, I'm talking about base. This is even before you get to farming, and then farming's 50%. And so,
Oh, okay. Yep.
so
Exactly.
so I could take a half 500,000 Hex. I've used a big number, but I don't know if I do that. But all right, I could take 100,000 Hex, right, and go print myself some, I wouldn't do it this way. Maybe I could just go swap that for HTT 7000s, and immediately I lock in like a 10-12% APR, because that HTT is going to be worth 1 Hex in the future on day 7,000. And so I lock in on that portion, that amount, and then I can take that with my remaining Hex and LP it and earn another couple percent on it, and then farm that and earn the 50% on that. And so I don't know.
You're buying future Hex at a discount that you can farm against current Hex, basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, so you're running anywhere between 20, depending on your configuration, what you do, anywhere from 26 to, let's just say 50% APR right now. All subject to change. It's crypto. Things are changing every day. More participation goes down. Don't know. Blah blah blah. But people have been doing it and doing pretty well with that. Now, of course, they get a reward token called Actuator, which is similar to to other reward tokens. I guess not really as similar to Print, but it also has a capped supply that only gets distributed for a certain amount of time. And then what you're able to do with that is just sell it. You could sell it, right, for Hex. There's a pool, there's pools with Pulse and Hex, or if this Actuator takes off, you can actually deposit the Actuator and you earn part of the new HTTs that get created. And so
every time someone mints one, you get a piece, right?
Yeah, when they make HTTs, there's a 1% fee in the protocol, and so that protocol goes to the people who have deposited Actuator in the vaults. So it's a nice little loop with lots of incentive to stay in, and because all of it's tied up with Hex, the HTTs, meaning backed by Hex, tied to Hex, the LPs are with Hex. The HTTs run minimal risk for near-term impermanent loss, only due to the market prices fluctuating, but long-term, no impermanent risk. And then the Actuator token, because it's predominantly tied with Hex in this little ecosystem, it's always going to have the down drain, because there are people who believe, hey, you get a reward token, you're going to swap it for Hex. You just take it out. But they've got some dynamics on the emissions of that, where the emissions are going up over time. So that'll also be rewarding the people who actually are doing the staking, because they get more over time relatively. There's a lot of details to it. That's but anyways, useful. I guess the end story is that, I would expect that the the Actuator token is going to go up as well with Pulse and Hex.
Yeah,
So
well, the liquidity is all tied to Hex, so it would go up. And like with the utility of it's essentially like you can stake your Actuator and essentially get more Hex. Like there will be a floor price, even if the price is going to go down. Like it will, as long as this protocol is functioning, it's going to. There's a certain point where it would pay you more to stake it than to not, and it seems to be holding up okay for this type of token. I wouldn't mind getting a little bag.
Well, yeah, and it's not financial advice, guys. You look at the link, go read the documents. There's a lot of information, some really good videos, websites put together well, immutable code. You can read the audits, all that kind of stuff. So those people,
and the team's available too, but just make sure you're talking to the right person. Lots of scammers out there, but yeah, C3 Works he's on the screen sometimes. He's a smart guy. He comes from trad finance, right? So he knows what people are looking for in that industry.
Man. Yeah, I just can't believe this hasn't taken off as much. I mean, I say that I like, why hasn't this taken off as strongly as I think it should have? But dude, it was out for 4 months before I even looked at it. I only looked at it when the APR for Quattro Cinco dropped from, down from 22 to 5%. That is when it caught my attention.
Yeah.
Because
especially with Hex, it's hard to look at new things, right? Because you're like, you have this old immutable code, but like, when there's something built on top like that, you kind of want to see it proven safe. But I feel they've reached that threshold for me.
Yeah. What else you got? What do you got going on? Anybody have questions about that? Ask. We'll let you know if we can. You can answer it. What else you got going on? Fast? Anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple things going on. So I'm gonna have new developments for both. I'm kind of in that in between stage where I can't share the details yet, but I'll have new developments for both 2 PHEX as well as the ink printer protocol. So I've already shared that ink printer is going to be have some add-ons. We're going to have like a new farming system coming out soon for that. We already have our liquid staking protocol running for ink printer, and that's working. It's just getting ramped up. But there's going to be something new on top of the crazy flowchart I've already presented to the audience. So that'll be more details on that soon. And then for 2 Fucks, we're going to have our bribery protocol, the add-on that allows people to take and make bribes in the PHEX and 2 PHEX ecosystems for the votes that determine which liquidity farms pay the most. And the bribery protocol will have an option to add on additional protocols that where there could be a bribe option. So PulseX, for example, it becomes a DAO where maybe you're using your ink token or something else to vote on what gets to be the next farm. Then the bribery protocol will pick up the slack on that one. I'm ready for the bribes, Richard. Bring it.
Sweet. I'm going to fight you for that 2 Fucks, man.
It's pretty hard to get, but there's going to be some epic changes there. More than just the bribery thing. I have something else up my sleeve, but I'm doing testing right now, and I will reveal it at a later date.
Just don't make the price go down, please.
You want the price to go down because you want to buy more.
Okay, but not forever.
I'm hearing that, but no, that's not the plan. Not the plan is to make something more interesting. So
I give 2 Fucks every day. I buy every day. 2 Fucks every day. Sometimes 4 times a day.
If you keep doing that and everyone else stops selling, the price will go up. I think that's how the math works.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm buying like $1 at a time. So maybe I'm buying like 1 penny. I don't know.
Wow, you have a lot of time on your hands.
A lot of transactions. Well, I won't get into the details here, but yeah, I got some different things going on with that. But the reason I'm interested in that is because one of my side deals here, where my founder's at, I pushed the button, created a token, people bought it, and I was like, how do I support this now? Do I support it? What are the ramifications of all that? Anyways, I do that. So one of the things I do is I have pools out there. So who's going to vote for my pools? So some of my buddies do, but realistically, long term, who's going to vote for my pools? So I got to vote for, I got to vote for my pools, right? So I got to have the $2 to do it. Otherwise, that doesn't be competitive. But I saw some big ones that popped up there. I saw like a couple, like 2 or 3 of them, like 400, 500% now. That type of thing. Which is
no, they're the top pools. I've seen them hit the triple digits for sure. But like there's often the first page of pools is usually over 100% APR. So that's like the top 5. So it's not always, some of them won't take the volume like some of the bigger pools will, or the pools like where they have lots of votes, like, some of your pools, I can tell there's lots of votes going to them. They can have a fair amount of volume in them and still have decent APR. But I think when PulseChain hits and, Hart's Law, the price of all these tokens get pulled up, you'll see the APRs, not just here, but in PulseX with the Ink token, other farming protocols that are paired against RH assets. You'll see the price of the farming token go up, and then you'll see the APRs go through the roof, which of course will incite people to to get into farming. So I think it's all part of RH's plan.
It's crazy how that works, right? Because I think that I know I have to like remind myself, like on the one hand, I'm looking at something, I'm trying to do like my calcs, and I'm like, wow, man, this isn't very much. But I'm using the price today, and I get kind of stuck in my head, like the price is today, and I forget, right? And then I get the FUD going through my mind, like, oh, the price could never go up. But then I go, wait a minute, this is crypto. Come on.
The price could go up. Well, think of something like PulseX, like you're making ink, right? And like the inflation's way down on ink, so you're not making very much in the majority of the PulseX farms. But what if the price of one ink token went up to $100 and you hadn't sold? You could kind of backdate your APR based on, that $100 price, should that actually happen, right? So
every time I brush over the ink, I'm like, I'm not selling you. I'm not selling, but it's going to take time, of course, for this stuff. But I think you're right about that, right? Because people already got the emitted ink and it's in their wallets. But I don't know if you noticed on the farms, the stable farms with Pulse doing pretty good. 13%, 12%, 13%.
Totally. Well, there's a bigger boost on those ones, right? I think last time I looked, DAI in particular was DAI to Pulse was boosted on the PulseX farms. But of course, that's your impermanent loss right now, though, right? Like that's your, impermanent loss. If Pulse goes up 10x and you're paired against DAI in that farm, like you're only getting a 5x because the rest turns into DAI, which isn't all terrible, right? Like, but for what APR makes that risk worthwhile, right? Like 10%, probably not. 200%, I'd be looking at it, right? But like there has to be, to me, and this not financial advice, is how I think about it. If I'm going to take 50% on permanent loss on something I believe is going to go up, I want a minimum 200% APR to cover that risk.
Yeah. You want a lot more back.
Yeah, that's my number, 200%.
Yeah. Well, another thing I've been looking at is the whole PulseX, right? Like, when are we getting single-sided staking? Is it happening? Now, there are some different protocols getting ready to launch things that kind of are like single-sided staking. But I keep coming back to that because I had this PulseX, right? But I get nowhere to earn on it unless I'm just going to hold it, right? I just have to hold it. I get nowhere to earn off of it.
That's not true. There's things you can do apart from holding it.
But I don't want to lose. Well, I guess you're talking about actually earn, right?
Earn is one good one. Like, we have liquidity farming, which we know, and there's some risk there, and yet you have to make your choice. But like the earn protocol, depending how much you have, like you could go in at a very safe level and like of collateralization ratio. And we're talking about a liquidity fork, stable coins, and you could, get get the PXDC dollar and stake that to earn. It's kind of like de facto single-sided staking for PulseX. You're scared of losing your PulseX, so you want to make sure you're not redeemed against, or you don't get liquidated, obviously. But like you could do it like at a very small level, and it's better than nothing. Especially if you happen to have a big bag and your 10% of that is still a lot of a lot of money, then it ends up being worth.
I think my bags are slacking though, or too not full to be able to do that. And plus, just from us talking before, right? My preference is not. I don't like to participate in those three, and it's not anything against the teams, right? At all. It has
I take it personally,
or whatever.
I take this very personally.
You better. That's why I'm taking my creatine. But that doesn't mean I don't get involved a little bit with that, right? Like liquidity. Providing for Inc. D has been very profitable. Liquidity providing for PXDC very profitable. XDC profitable. I haven't dug too much into liquid loans, but
it'd be very similar.
but I would think it'd be similar. So.
But like your PulseX is still sitting in your wallet. We haven't solved your problem here.
Yeah, we still haven't solved my problem.
But there's always going to be some risk. Like if somebody else comes up with something that offers single-sided staking-ish for PulseX, like there's going to be some contract risk. There's going to be there has to be if it's real yield of any type, there has to be some mechanism. There has to be some moving parts. Like nothing could be quite as easy.
I actually felt pretty good about farming that with Pulse.
Oh yeah.
But now no, right? So yeah. I mean, hey, listen, viable strategies do nothing. Just keep it. Don't put it at risk at all. Don't do anything with it. I mean, that's viable. It's just a shame in terms of all that capital and being stuck in one place,
We can come up with ideas for that. I'm sure there could be some, I don't know. I think PulseChain is missing more synthetics, where you can literally mint a token that represents another token and farm them together. There's interesting protocols on Ethereum that have that functionality, and of course they have other moving pieces too. But I'm too busy to do that this month.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody out there will do it.
Could be.
Maybe somebody will do that. I know. Without advocating for them, they're on Maddie's channel. Without Maddie here, we do have the guys over in Up and Up X, the guys that came up with the Validator X. Oh, that's another topic to talk about with the Pi guys. But the Validator X guys are getting ready to release something that kind of looks like single-sided, because they have this LPX protocol, liquidity providing X, which is basically market. I'm going to oversimplify. This isn't exactly what it is, but it's market making bot. And when you first get into it, what you would do is say, well, I would like it to do trades between PulseX and Pulse, the objective being to get more PulseX. And so based on the algorithms and how it works, it'll sell a little bit of the PulseX at the highs and buy a little bit of the Pulse at the bottom, or vice versa, buy the PulseX at the bottom, excuse me. And so that it's just like cycling through that with an upward trajectory. So look for announcements on that. I don't have any details to share or landing place. They do have a Telegram.
I was talking about that the other day. I was thinking of it as like a team tool, actually, to help stabilize a token and make your chart look nice. I think there's possible team applications for that to just absorb some buy and sell pressure and pump it back into a token you like. It seems to have potential. Do you think so?
I do. I think it has a lot of potential, but the devil's always in the details.
Indeed.
With the dev team, third-party risk, yada yada yada, and all the data. But I'm pretty hyped up on it. I use so I was switching over to the staked idea. So I'm participating in all three of because I like to try tests, right? So I want to see how they work. So to some extent, I'm participating in all three of the different liquid staking protocols that are out there for Pulse. So that's the Pi, the stake Pulse, the V Pulse, and then the U Pulse for Validator X. So Validator X has been going very well for me in that they have some extra features where I can buy and burn with them, or buy and send with profit and that type of thing. So I've got that stuff set up. But there's some news. I don't have any details on it. They didn't present it to me. I just saw what came across the chats. The Project Pius guys released a crypto AI agent.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks pretty cool.
That?
I can't say I know more about it, except for it seemed pretty awesome. It seemed like it could even make transactions for you given the right peripherals. But we'll have to do a deep dive on that one, because it is more than I've been able to absorb so far. But the demo looked pretty awesome, right? Like just watching them do it. I haven't done it myself, but I was like, okay, that could be cool. Though I'm not sure if it's a tool for advanced players or if it's a tool for new people. Like who would benefit from this the most?
Yeah, I just found it super interesting, right? That they did it, and I don't know, I guess they envision like you'll be able to use your AI at some point and be like, go buy $100 worth of HEX, or into your little microphone or headset, and then it'll go do it. I mean, that's the idea, right? I mean, they'll get that kind of granular. Right now, it answers questions and stuff, and can analyze your wallet, which is pretty good as well. So you got that going on.
I think their main thing is still they have a liquid staking fork. They forked Rocket Pool for PulseChain. That's pretty cool. Did you see I made a liquidity pool on 2PX/PX that's paying 127%. That pairs all the liquid staking forks against Pulse, 25% each.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that, where you can actually get in there and set up that pool and earn on those.
Yeah, there's not much money in it yet, but I think that there's enough movement there between those tokens. The fees alone could, just an extra 6-7% edge on top of what they do.
Yeah. I think I don't remember the exact percentages. I think Vouch has done like 4% over Pulse. I don't remember what Pi has done. Maybe someone will put in the chat. Validator X has done 8% over Pulse. And so these things are going to go up against Pulse, right? Because that's how they're designed, assuming they work properly and all that, right?
I think they'll even out like against each other too. Like they're mostly doing the same thing. Like the date that they launched and the fees that we're moving through on that date, that month, like is going to determine that number so far. Given a longer period of time, a year, 2 years, your most liquid staking forks on Ethereum are paying very similar, right?
Yeah. Well, you just assume my numbers are right, and that we'll have to go do a different way. Let's assume VPulse is going to give you 8%. Well, that token that's in your LP is appreciating at 8%. That's before anything else is going on, before Pulse goes up. This is against Pulse price, right? So it's going up 8% against Pulse. And then let's just say the Validator X is going up 12%. You get a pair out there. One's going up at 8%. The other's going up at 12%. And it's trading against itself, and you're earning fees on that. Now, right now, there's not much volume. But in a high volume situation, you can see that could be very profitable, right?
True.
Because they're all... And then, with the potential of price appreciation on Pulse, that also would affect each of the actual dollar prices of those tokens. So it could make for some interesting stuff. Hey, Eddie, yeah, we're doing that. I think we're doing Burn It All this week. Last week we had RG3 out with the Bitcoiners with Maddie and those guys. They were all out in Vegas. I haven't heard much more about that. Digital Money Marcus, you're asking about gambling on sports coming to PulseChain. I'm not involved in that, but what was the name of the token that's getting converted?
Well,
it was your stream. It was your stream.
Yeah, I was there. I can't remember the name of the new token, but PulsePot being the project run by Jacob and his team. They're bringing in like basically connecting different chains with PulseChain as the focus, where people can gamble all over the place, and sports betting, I was told, would be one of the items. So I do believe we will have sports betting on PulseChain, and that the PulseBot community is where you would look to find out more information.
Yeah. Personally, I like gambling myself as like a side hobby, but my gambling kind of technique is like $100. It's not what most people call gambling, but I just recognize how much damage it does to us all. but here's the thing: is it's again one of those things outside of my control. I suppose I could take up protesting against gambling, but I'm not going to get.
Could.
I could.
But gambling has pros and cons, right? Like for PulseChain, the pro would be if it brings volume, right? Like volume that's burning PulseX, volume that's bringing new people to the chain, because that's where the thing you want to do is. And gamblers are gonna gamble. Like the very few people will decide to start gambling because there was a protocol launched on PulseChain that offered gambling. It's much more likely that gamblers would be like, hey, there's something new here that looks cool, that's decentralized, where I'm guaranteed to get my funds, and come to PulseChain. Not financial advice, not endorsing gambling. I'm just speculating.
100%. Yeah. I guess I won't go on that topic any further, but I do think it's going to bring a lot to our to PulseChain for sure. I do.
Yep.
Frank White apparently likes LPX. That's coming soon. Soon announcement. Maybe another 2 weeks. I don't know. We see Meltoni's back. He was putting some prices and stuff up there.
Yeah, he's giving us HEX prices, ICOSA prices, all the good prices.
Yeah. Somebody was talking about the ICOSA going up high today. Like there was a run on it. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Have to take a look at that and see. I don't know if it's really true.
I'm seeing 13% up. It's not going to solve any problems for me.
Yeah.
It needs to go up about 400%, 500%, and then those auctions would start again, which would be cool. Probably higher than that, actually. It needs to go up. No, 5-6x.
5 or 6x, huh? Nice.
Yeah,
well, better than what
the auctions.
But a lot of
again,
but a lot of things.
People would be able to lock up like stake HEX for 15 years and then sell it to the ICOSA contract, and it would be good for HEX.
Yep. Yeah, Tiago's gonna brain me. Boo. Hey, Tiago, Ink is one.
Crypto is gambling.
Hi, Tiago.
There's crypto gambling, and then there's gambling. But why not join them? Because there's definitely a gambling element there.
He brings up an excellent point. Crypto is gambling. Investing it is. He's so right about that.
He knows more about gambling than we do. So yeah, maybe that's where it's at.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I have a different set of experiences based on some people that have been on the wrong end of that. Let's just put it that way. So I just don't. I have some feelings. I have some feelings to get involved. But you're exactly right, man. I talk about that all the time, Tiago. That's the case. Now, of course, Tiago. That's his. So a lot of people may not know, but that's his background, right? That's what he does. Right. So it'd be kind of like me saying, "Hey, you're sorry, hot dog vendors, but hey, you're a hot dog vendor. I hate hot dogs. Hot dogs are bad for you." Right. So it's kind of like the equivalent of that in a funny way, maybe. But I don't mean it negatively against that. And of course, there's some of you know that Solid X games are coming, right? And I think the exact title is going to be.
Oh yeah, and Tiago, aka the Fire Whale. I think that people would probably want to know that.
Yeah, he's
Same
so
guy.
So when that starts rolling, of course it's online casino games, right? So of course it's gambling, and we do think that's going to bring a lot into.
Yeah, well, he's talking about getting actual licenses for his games, so it's like it would be probably the first or second licensed crypto gambling thing. I think the second is what I heard. Like for like a licensed crypto casino that was licensed worldwide, that could bring some attention to PulseChain, in my opinion.
I think it'd be a big deal. Yeah. Yeah. But because, I don't know all the details of his effort, so I don't want to really say something that's incorrect. But my understanding is it's a crypto casino, not just PulseChain.
Oh, definitively. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that,
Crypto casino.
and in fact, I don't even
Possibly
know if
multi-chain.
I don't know. We'd have to ask him if it's classified as crypto casino. It just might be it just might be a casino that just happens to accept
with a crypto payment option
from crypto blockchains as well. Yeah. And like he said, in those of you haven't caught him, I've caught a couple of streams and spaces where Tiago was on, and this was a couple of weeks ago, Tiago, and you were talking to the guys. But yeah, the way the setup is set up to be a benevolent casino that does direct people over into PulseChain and create situations like buy and burn,
Yeah, and of course the focus of the buy and burn, I think, is on the SolidX token that he's behind.
Yep.
But that is large liquidity connected with Pulse and Ink in particular, I believe. So
wasn't originally proposed to be both that and Ink? I thought, well, maybe I guess I don't know the details, so I shouldn't say.
I think that was changed to just SolidX on the buy and burn.
That would make sense.
Like,
that
was my understanding. That was changed to just be SolidX. Yeah.
All right. Here's another good topic. Sorry. They're fast, Abdul. We could talk about Xerox Coast for a moment. I know, not necessarily direct competitor with some of the stuff you're doing, but digital money Marcus is saying, I saved some fees on Xerox Coast by first buying their stable coin and swapping on chain into PulseX before I went from dollars into their swapper on site and got hit for 4%. Well, I'm not sure if that's actually a happy tale or a not sad tale, because I'm not sure if you actually got hit for the 4.5%. But maybe you can clarify. Did it come out okay for you or not? But I would say this is the Xerox Coast guys have been getting more vocal online about their new Tide protocol, which is a fork of V3 Balancer. And the call to action there
should be interesting.
So you're in this business fast. I mean, in the whole LP business, I'm watching the LP pools every day. I'm going through and checking things out and trying to ascertain exactly what the hell's going on. Right. Probably in every chain, but certainly on our chain, there is a really big need for better liquidity, more liquidity. And in particular,
particularly with stable coins.
Particularly with stable coins, because it's just dumb to me. I know why it happens and I benefit from it, right? Of course, I know why it happens. But if I'm going from USDC to EDI, there should be no, in my opinion, right? It should be very little impermanent or excuse me, slippage, or vice versa, or even the USDT. And most of that, this is my assessment. Most of that happens because of the AMM, constant product formula, and how it spreads against all the ticks. And so it's not really the right application for LP for stables. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it doesn't feel like it's the right application, which is why you had 9inch. Shout out to them. I think they had come out with the stable pool first. PulseX came out with the stable, coin pool, and those are a little bit better, but you still get too much slippage. There's not enough size.
The same thing as 9inch, because they're both forks of the same code, basically.
Yeah. And so now we're coming up on this balancer V3. And their target seems to be amassing as much, stable value as possible. I don't know if you have any more details.
Balancer V3 for 90% of users will be the same experience as Balancer V2, right? Which is what the Fux exchange is. Like you still have 8 assets you can put in a pool, and you have variable fees that could be much lower than other dexes, right? Like on the Fux exchange, you could set the fees at 0.40 and a 1, right? So for
or zero.
tables that are equivalent value to each other,
Yeah, or nearly
not
zero.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's gotta be the
nearly
4
zero.
zeros and nearly
I
zero.
still haven't changed my pool. There's almost no fees. I gotta go do that. Hey, here's Digital Marcus to close this out. Yes, I saved down to around 2.5% of my. Okay, good. So he didn't lose 4.5%. That was good. That was good.
Good.
Hey, Eddie, with Maddie's conference, last I heard, it's still happening. So just don't know the dates. But that was the last I had heard.
Was that June, right?
Yeah, it
Was it June or July?
It was June. Can I leave you here for a moment by yourself? You want to entertain people by yourself for a few minutes?
Totally.
I'll
sing a little song.
I got to go give the dog a shot.
Do some card tricks.
All right. I'll be right back.
Yep. You bet. Shoot the dog. So I don't have the same powers as Crispy here to pull up your chats on the screen, but I can still address them. So Digital Money Market says KG from Insert Money has a buy button in his wallet, I've heard, but not sure on the fees. They do. They actually have a really good DEX aggregator basically built into the wallet. So sometimes the Internet Money wallet, swapping inside the wallet is actually the best deal you can get. They access more liquidity pools on PulseChain than any other application. There's DEXs on PulseChain that got copied over in the fork that don't have a front end, right? And the Internet Money wallet actually accesses more of those than anything else. So if you're looking for weird like P copies of meme coins and stuff like that, I've actually done some minor arbitrage experiments there that were successful, where I could move around and find coins that were literally not available anywhere else. So maybe look into that. I would be not telling you about it if I had time to do that myself now. I certainly don't, but I would be, I would be on it. So N-Day Jub says, lots of slippage and not available in the US anymore. Sorry, please clarify what's not available in the US anymore. I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, Ovidian Fast. What should we learn if we want to build smart contracts in PulseChain? I do have data analysis background. Well, sir, at this point in time, first off, disclaimer, I am not a dev. I know devs. I employ devs. I work with devs a lot. I can read a little bit of code because I've been exposed so much, but I'm not a dev. But I think a good place to start if you're not planning on going back to school is actually delving into AI and learning about how AI could help you with such things. I was just on with RH Mac earlier today, and he is a dev of sorts, to be sure. He's made his own contracts, and he suggested Manus. That's MANUS.IM. I'm going to drop it in the chat here, and he thought it was better than ChatGPT code. So if you want to take a look at that, learn to get AI to do your for you. And then work backwards from there. I wouldn't say you should trust it 100%. Like there's still a role for devs, and like my devs that I employ use AI, and then they do other dev work on top of that. But like for simple contracts, like you want to make a tiny tax token, that kind of thing. Certainly AI may be a good place to get started. Anything heavy, you should be getting audits after the fact. But who's to say you couldn't make it on AI and then employ an audit company to make sure it was okay? That could be a good place to start. So now, Digital Money Market says, I used to be in the PulseX farms before the big drawdown. Will there be farms in the future? I was trying to play it safe with the PLSX PLS pair. Well, that pair is still there. And it's still safe enough in that those assets are going to move up against each other. The problem with the PulseX farms is that they're on V1, meaning there's no fees that go to the LP providers. So with the ink inflation extremely low, that PulseX to Pulse pair is not paying very much ink. You're potentially suffering a permanent loss, probably minimal because those things are super correlated, but like it's not worth it for the ink you're getting paid right now. So will that change in the future? Well, if the ink price was $400, it would probably be worth it. So that's one way it could change. Richard could also, in theory, turn up the inflation, right? So he turned it down by 97%. He could turn it back up. There's a button for that on his admin panel, not on mine. So, you know, those farms could come back. For the moment, you know, yeah, there's going to be other places to farm or other games you can play. As far as DeFi goes, we mentioned the Earn protocol. Of course, there's liquid loans for Pulse. Ways you can make money with those. Read the white papers. Make sure you understand what you're doing. 2Fux has farms for all those assets. So 2phux.io. Check it out. Again, hit me up if you have questions. Watch out for scammers. This stuff is a little bit more complicated than PulseX. Quite a bit more, actually. But yeah, there's farms for all RH assets there. And they are paying more than PulseX the majority of the time. So consider that as well. But you never know. The ink farms could be paying 400% sometime in the future. One strategy that I think Richard could use is like if the ink price was to pump to, I don't know, let's say $2,000, those farms would be very attractive. This would be a top of the cycle move. That would draw in lots of liquidity and stabilize the price. So, you know, there's upsides and downsides to that, but I think we could see high APRs on PulseX one day in the future. What do you think, Crispy?
Oh, yeah, it can happen anytime. Anytime. It'll be a big surprise. It's just like it can happen with HEX, possibly. Right. And here's your dream sequence, right? People can react a little bit differently with farming, as they typically have those tokens. But dream sequence, we're going over over an outlier on HEX, where what if you know we go another 6 months or a year and Richard does evaporate his T-shares. What happens then? What happens
what do you
when
mean
APR
by
well, he get emergency in-stake.
Like
I get emergency in-stake.
not
And
basically
basically retain control of all the HEX, even so. And what would that look like? Now, this is granted, I don't really expect this to happen, but if it did happen, he basically could recycle all that HEX right back into the OA wallets. But the outcome would be APR goes back up to 40%.
Not all of it. Some of that HEX would go to current stakers, though, right? If you emergency end staked.
Yeah, but it's so small, 10%. Assuming it was even 100% nukes, right? But you know, something like 10%. And it wouldn't. And it
10% of a big number, though, Chris.
Ain't that big. Not for that, because they'll also be spread to him. You know, is in that whole process. Well, not him,
totally.
but to the OA owning wallets, and then they get spread over 15 years. Anyways, it's an outlandish kind of an idea, but but just think about that. If all of a sudden something like that happened, and you hadn't been staking, keeping a ladder up for a year or 2 years, and because you didn't like the APR, and then all of a sudden the APR is 40%, that would be a shock, right?
Imagine the effect on the people who did do it, right? Like if you were like, okay, 4 or 5%, that works for my finances. I'm going to make a plan based on 4 or 5%. And then all of a sudden it jumped to like 37%, right? Like how would that affect your finances?
Yeah. 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 Well, I'd be pretty happy with it.
And it's only a couple clicks away. Like literally the OA could click 6 buttons and that could be reality.
Yeah. Hey, Famous on this here. Well, first Gina, yes, it would be something like a new big payday event. And then Famous was saying OA gets 50%, but the OA gets more than 50% because the OA is depending on the sequencing. The OA is most of the staking. So because the O is most of the staking, it's getting most of the payout. And so, yeah, that's where we were going with this whole thing is, can you imagine that? And then price appreciation. It's crazy enough the price appreciation may get us where we want to go.
Totally.
And then Tiago had a comment on your comment about the inflation. You know, he's agreeing that won't be changed anytime soon. But price should go up and make it worth it to farm again. Yeah. You doubt that it'll be changed, right? The price will go up probably. Yeah. Well, that's what, you know, even like that 2 Fox, right? I'm like, well, the 2P Hux, it's so low, you know, blah, 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 right? But it's all connected and tied too. And so relatively, right? I mean, I don't know exact numbers. When everything else goes up, it goes up. So percentages may not change much, or they could.
Well, the liquidity is mostly tied to, you know, to policy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, all of a sudden you're looking at like mega dollars, you know, and rewards.
Yeah. And if you get like a 10x there, and that's like the main APR of a protocol, like the same as with Ink. So if the price of Ink 10x's, the price of 2 Fox 10x's, the APRs on those protocols 10x, right? Yeah, so like obviously that would attract some attention. You'd likely get additional farming.
Yeah, they could go crazy. Oh, here's a good article or comment. I did not see this. Did you see this today? You know, saying that Google announced today that quantum computers are going to break announced. Oh yeah, I don't know, but they did at the same time as BTC surpassed them in the market cap, and I'm guessing that Grok said otherwise, right? That's interesting. Dude, I think we're all threatened by quantum computers, man.
If it can break cryptography, it's going to break traditional finance way faster, right? Like the low-hanging fruit would be banks, right? Not crypto.
Yep. We see Hex Famous saying, I wonder if all the LP bonding has been a net negative. Yeah, questionable. I don't even know how you analyze that net negative versus net positive. You need liquidity.
A net negative to.
Well, I'm guessing because when you tie things,
somebody had to buy those tokens in order to provide liquidity.
Yeah, but you know, it gets distribution of the tokens and the LP becomes so complex. Not like an easy answer. You know, like, okay, so we take Johnny Chaos as example, right? You print 1 million tokens. The only tokens you put on the market at $1 to 1, right? It's never going down less than $1. It's going to stay at $1. Maybe a little bit of leakage, but it's going to stay at $1, pretty close to $1, right? But the more complex you make the web, and the more opportunities there are for distribution, and the more opportunities there are for you know, for leakage out of the system through fees and weird dynamics. Yeah. And I think that's where Famous was getting, you know, that, and then AKA the PDI, right? Being tied too heavily to PDI and dragging everything down. So,
but like in order to add liquidity, like against HEX, right? I have to have the HEX. So that means I went out and bought it, right? So then if I pair it against a token that goes down in value, it's kind of like, and it pulls HEX down, it's kind of like I sold the HEX. So I see it at worst as a net neutral, right? And at best as a positive if my token goes up in price and pulls HEX with it. But like regardless, if I'm making a regular LP pair on V2 50-50, I had to buy or acquire both sides of that pair, right? So it's not like I got the HEX for free and I'm then able to pull it down with another token. I had to buy HEX, which affected the chart in the first place. It might be over such a timeline that it's hard to draw the correlation, but I think worst case scenario, net neutral.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's a matter of perspective where you're sitting, you know, at the and how this thing rolls out, or how your pools roll out. You know, and what you're doing, you know.
Yep. Got
because
some.
it's very, very true that you'd have to be able to get it first. So.
Yep.
Digital money Marcus is coming up with all this news. I can't answer all these things. I don't know.
Some great news.
Here's the last one here. Right? You see
He's
this
our
one?
content manager.
We need a Mrs. Producer. I know we need somebody, or a Mr. Producer. I mean, we have no Maddie. I feel Maddie-less. I feel like I got no Maddie.
Maddie was kind of the producer. He was, guiding us.
Yeah, guiding us. I mean, I almost can't stream without him. I almost can't bring myself to doing it. But, oh yeah, so digital money Marcus is saying, Trump announced DeFi wallet today. Should I move all my BTC into this application upon launch? No, but that's my opinion. Only do what you want. And I would definitely, yeah, you might want to be on the cutting edge. Don't be on the bleeding edge. You're gonna be on the bleeding edge. Make sure it's a small amount. That's I don't know. Maybe that's not a formal technical terminology. I use that terminology though. Bleeding edge is like you're taking the highest risk. Cutting edge, you're taking heavy risk. Early adopters, you're third down, right? So, you're letting some time season something, and you try not to lose everything, right?
If you're on PulseChain, you're already kind of an early adopter.
Yeah, you might be bleeding edge at some point, depending on what you're doing. Maybe
not anymore, but I think there's you're definitely not at the lowest risk, lowest reward category.
The monkey, he's here. Hex Monkey.
Monkey is speaking out about Trump's crypto products.
Yeah, I like Trump, but he touches crypto. Yeah. Hey guys, listen, I like a lot of people, and I participate in a lot of different things, probably because I like them. But it is crypto. Trust but verify. A lot of people, maybe they just wing it. I mean, listen, we know a lot of people just YOLO around, and they don't do any research at all. But it would be nice if you did a little bit of research, because I make the assumption that everybody I'm talking to is looking to rip me off, right?
Wise assumption.
Yeah. Now I might talk to you, but if your next sentence is, "Hey man, I don't have enough money for gas," I might not talk to you again. Right? So, I mean, there's, or whatever, insert here. I mean, I've had quite a few people contact me scam wise, right? Try to scam me.
I get a lot of people pretending to be me, trying to scam other people.
Oh yeah, I've gotten that.
You probably do too. I'm sure there's some fake Crispies out there.
Yeah, but I'm pretty boring, right? So like, it's totally out of character for me to contact somebody and say, you should go buy something. Or you should, or hey, you have a protocol, you need to fix the keys. The keys are broken. Yeah, we're upgrading you.
You need to validate your wallet to proceed. Like, yeah, they got ridiculous lines, but some people do fall for it. I've talked to some guys who had that issue. So yeah, just be careful out there, guys, especially when PulseChain is 50x what it is now. That there's going to be 50x more scammers coming for your money.
Yeah,
do not trust it.
Yeah, I even, a lot of people, when they contact me, I don't even talk to them unless I back check their identity. Even the people that I know, and I'm like, this looks like this is the right address. I'll go back to the other angle and go make sure that, because I'm getting hit by phone calls, I'm getting hit by text, I'm getting hit by email, I'm getting Telegram and messages and all over the place. So,
I get even I'm an admin in lots of Telegram rooms, like other people's Telegram rooms, like Internet Money, things like that. And I'll get hit by scammers who are pretending to be the owner of that Telegram room. And then they're asking the admin, oh, can I just borrow, like, you usually say something that obviously tips me off. It's not real. Can I borrow 3 or 4 Sol, like Solana, for just a couple hours? And it's like, it's not real, right? It's not the actual owner of the Telegram, but they even attack the admins in the Telegram rooms, obviously because they've had some success. Because I get that about once every 2 months. Get a fake founder that asks me to borrow ETH or something like that. So yeah, nobody's immune.
That's funny. So you must have thought that was funny when I posted that in your chat. Hey brother, do you have 500 million $2 I can borrow?
Yeah.
I'll gladly pay the 2p hucks back Tuesday.
I've had that same discussion with multiple scammers pretending to be.
No,
other
that was
people.
not me. That was me. That was me. I actually said that. I was just joking around though, but I thought your answer was funny too.
Oh, I thought you might have been serious. I was like, oh, do you need
Oh
some
yeah,
some
that's
toothbrush crispy? Oh wait, is this
was
really crispy? What
it
the
was
hell?
my sense. It was my sense of humor at that moment. But
You have a dry sense of humor, crispy.
I do. It's a terrible burden. Terrible
Indeed.
burden. Well, we made it almost an hour and a half. Let's see if we got anything else that people are asking about. Anything else hot you want to talk about? Got a lot of viewers, a lot of views. 600 views.
Not bad. We're two old guys dropping some alpha.
Yep. No, me too. Dropping the alpha. I think I don't know, we pushed the limits of what we should talk about in our normal streams.
Yeah, we went a little further, but like it was all current events of what's on the pulse chain, you know. So I think it falls into the tech category for me.
Yeah, well, you know, we end up. Yeah, I agree with that. It's always that weird thing. We know that more people go look at things when you talk about things, and so you got that angle of it. But then there are things we need to know about that are going on. I don't know if the right stuff is, but
totally.
You know.
Yeah, and I'm not into everything that we talked about. But it's what's happening, right? Like it's, you know, I wouldn't talk about things that I thought were scams. At the very least.
No, not directly. Anyways, not unless you needed to name them to be able to get people not to do it.
Fair enough.
So you have that. All right. Well, I think we're probably wrapping up, guys. Mark still want talking about those threats from quantum computers. We don't have a whole lot to talk about with that.
Frank White mentioned in the chat. Frank is a dev. I know this for a fact. He says it'll be solved by then, no problem. Quantum harm encryption already exists. Only 9% of BTCs are at risk. And I suspect quantum hard encryption. He's corrected. I suspect Frank has done some research to give that detailed an answer. Certainly more than I know.
Oh, yeah. And Hex Monkey says, hey, old dudes for the win. Or old dude. I guess he must be talking about you. I don't know. And then finally, Digital Money Market says, I heard big Ethereum buys are coming in from the institutions. Yeah. I mean, that I don't follow it to that level of detail to know, like, personally, but that's what I've heard as well.
Well,
and I'm watching.
What was it called? BlackRock.
Yeah, BlackRock. Dude, have you been watching the chart for Ethereum?
A little bit. It's not terrible.
Tight accumulation. It's just insane. It's insane. You know, I mean, this is again where if I'm gonna put my pessimist hat on, I'm gonna push out and I'm gonna be like, not gonna go up. But really, like, I just can't see a place where it doesn't go to 10 grand, you know, ETH. Crazy, right? Because we start with $10,000 ETH. I mean, the world's going to be rocking and rolling, dude.
100%.
So have a plan, guys. Make a plan. Write it down. Have a plan. Know what you're doing. Know how you're going to spend that $100 that turns into $1,000. Man, do something with it. And that was not a joke. All right. Well, with that, my friends, we should get out of here. What do you think? We'll end the stream. I never did a big hey now, but I appreciate everybody coming. Thanks. I appreciate you
showing up, guys.
Yeah, to be honest, we didn't do this without Fast Bill. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here.
I would not be here without you.
I would not be here. I would not be here. Let's see. Do we have a nice? Oh yeah, we got the Roger Ver. You want Roger Ver for outro?
We could, yeah. But before we do that, where can people find you, and what news do you have coming up soon, Crispy?
Don't come find me. Don't come find me. No, you can come find me. I'm over at hexfire.io or hexfire.io on the old Twitter, or on YouTube, Hexfire.io. That's where I'm at. As far as things coming, I got a lot of things I'm working on, but I'm not ready to talk about them yet.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Maybe next week. Sorry.
No, how about you?
Oh, thank you. For today, I'm going to go with Ink Printer. That's incprinter.com. You can check that out. Links to the Telegram room there. Links to my Twitter there. Ink is of the RH tokens, the one with the lowest market cap and likely the highest up potential, in my opinion, not financial advice. And Ink Printer could be the best place to capitalize on that and turn it into stable coins. So check it out. Thank you.
Very good. You want to do Eric on Hex?
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, guys. Yeah, always do your own research. Go check that stuff out. Inky, get ready for the games. They will begin, and stay crispy.
Sorry, Rich, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Hello everyone, this is Eric Wall from Sweden. I'm on my way to my office and it's the end of the year, well, the beginning of the new year, so I'm on my way to my Stockholm office to write a fund report. And the fund report is going to cover the performance of the fund for this year, and I'll have to go into some detail around how I was able to miss the best performing asset of the year, which is HEX. Even though I knew the founder, I sat down with the founder, he explained the concept of HEX to me and urged me to purchase it as a friend, and I called it the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So now I'm gonna have to write a fund report explaining why I didn't buy the asset, and hopefully I'll get to keep my job. So let's see how it goes.